What is up, you savages? This is the Protect Your Neck podcast, and I'm your host, Dan Tom. Analyst is work you can find over at MMAJunkie.com. But on this here program, the Protect Your Neck podcast, we break down high-level MMA. That's what we're going to do today, tonight, whenever you're listening to this. Hopefully it's before the fight, as I am recording this on Wednesday night, early Wednesday afternoon. The sun is still bright and shining here in Las Vegas for UFC Vegas 30, UFC Fight Night 190, UFC Volkov versus gone away. I don't know. Maybe it's gone versus Volkov. I don't know. We'll see. Check the timestamps as per usual when that starts. And if you're in a rush, although I'm giving you a lot of time, this shouldn't be that long of an episode. You can always, as per usual on these breakdown shows, skip to the very end as I recap my picks and plays for you to, either expedite and or just refresh. It's something that I would like, when I listen to podcasts, I forget sometimes on the picks or this or that, or when they do lists, top fives, I like the recap of the list. It's a nice thing there. So I try to do that for you guys. Check the timestamps as per usual. Just some, quick notes off the top. No Amazon reads. I'm going to save those for next week. Let those build up, which of course, if support this free show as per usual, running almost 5 years strong. Going to try to hit 300 episodes by the end of the year for 5 years, and you do that math, it's been over the 1 week that I promised you per week, well over that. However, I cannot claim the consistency of other shows like the MMA road shows, the MMA junkie radios of the world. Shouts to them, obviously my colleagues there. But I do my best to deliver, and if you'd like to support the show, mixedmartialanalyst.com for click-throughs on it and Amazon. I know corporations, especially certain ones, not the most best to shop through. And by the way, on it, I go through you guys through hemp, and now there's no hemp pills. I still like the plant-based proteins and the little protein bars there. If you do click through the On It link, or if you shop through Amazon, which unfortunately we all do more than we like to admit, you click through the link over on the right, toggle if it's to your right if you're on a mobile device. Over at mixedmartialanalyst.com, you click through the link and you just do your shopping. No extra cost to you. Small percentage of your sales get kicked back to this free show. And if you do feel so generous, someone asked me for like a PayPal or this or some kind of thing, a Venmo, which I didn't have, but I do have a PayPal link to mixedmartialanalyst.com too if you ever want to tip or donate to the show straight up. Probably don't advertise that stuff as much as I should, but I'm not a great salesman, nor do I really feel like I deserve it with my results and, with the craziness of the show or of my life. Not that it's bad. Everything's great. I'm very grateful. But, it's been chaotic, to be fair, as it is for everybody I know, but just people that know the story, which I won't go into pre, post, and during, whatever, how you want to label it. Pandemic aside, just been dealing with a lot. Technically, it's actually my week off, and I'm not supposed to be here today at the risk of sounding like Dante from Clerks. It doesn't matter. I'm happy to be here is the point. Though, do not be alarmed if you don't see the as per usual, because I've more than made up for it. But I gotta take some time off, or even though I'm not ever really taking time off, and you work for yourself, all not complaining. Anybody for the other mic, you do that hustle, you know what it's like. Not complaining, preaching to the choir, if anything. But you don't really take days off. But, hey, I'm pretty consistent over there at MMAJunkie.com. So don't threat if for the very few weeks you don't see my byline up there. And I am working on some stuff on the aside there with, speaking of Roadshow, my man, MMA Junkie John Morgan there. And, hey, birthday shouts, as I just tweeted out there to Ken Hathaway, co-host of that show. Some more shots coming. Real quick, though, we'll get them out of the way. Don't worry, folks. This isn't going to be a super long episode, especially with the week off. But if it's anything like my last week off, these shows will, again, as it comes early to you, check. And we'll see if we can check that other box, which is I seem to have done better, even though I barely researched on these off weeks, right? Compared to my not even normal research, because I haven't been, but, still shortened, but more. So irony included there that, you do better when you don't try. Isn't that how it is with the ladies? I don't know. But yeah, so yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do some recap as I swig a water of UFC on ESPN 25. maybe briefly brush through the PFL Bellator since I'm actually getting this recorded ahead of it. But really, we're going to be focusing on UFC Vegas 30. And I actually do have plays, again, despite it being an off week. There's plays, movement to watch, props to watch when they drop. Because, again, usually S is dropped, shit is dropped. Why am I, holding it back like I'm on radio? But I'm doing it early on Wednesday here, so it has not. So, yeah. Let's get to it. Oh, yeah, but just update aside from the day off. Yeah, with the craziness, yada, yada. Not complaining, but yeah, dog stuff too. I know people have been asking and whatnot. Dogs are good. No fights since we got back, but there was one since we got back. And yeah, Ben got sliced and he's stitched up. My poor boy. And it was on the day right before Brownie went to her training, which the new trainer is great. I'm actually already seeing massive improvements in Brownie with the training. But unfortunately, these incidents, and Ben's my number one guy. My number one. Bob, you're my number one guy. All right, anybody besides Danny Mahoney listening can reply if they know that movie. As much as I love Brownie, Ben is first, and we got Brownie, not just for my mom, but also for Ben, so he can live out the rest of his life happily with some company. But if there's territorial stuff that is in the dog world at play and they're not driving, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles for people. The dog aren't like people. Sometimes when the dog matures or when one dog enters into being elderly and old, which right now we're actually simultaneously having both. So again, a lot of on-paper things working against us regardless of how loving, how much love is in this household. Sometimes things work against you, and that seems to be it. Aside from my mother being the common thread, they never do it around me. So we're just limiting things, watching for things, really focusing on Brownie, which is good. It's getting me better in my routine, getting me better about walks, although you really can't walk much in this 100-degree weather. You're having to do it really at night or early in the morning, quick, short ones at that. And Brownie is Brownie Bane over here. Let's just say that. Don't come at me. That animal cruelty stuff. Very loving and compassionate to animals. And although I'm not a fan of these things, it may feel bad to look. We did it the right way. There's a positive association instilled. She's only wearing it for maybe a third of the day, if that. So it's not like she's always wearing it or anything. She's not the man in the iron mask here. Just understand when dogs are going through certain training, and it's usually because they've gotten fresh with either dogs or people, and with those situations, that's enough for either the people or the places people drop them off them to have these dogs euthanized, knowingly, intentionally, or even unwittingly, right? Because they can just drop it off at the wrong place to kill shelter. Or even if not, you say those certain things that the places don't want liability, so you really be really careful. So now, instead of questioning or looking at someone like they're cruel, if I see someone has one of their dogs muzzled, it's probably because they care and they're trying. They're trying. But at a certain point, you don't want the dog to train you. You have to be training the dog. So we're doing that. Because the stuff that has happened, it's my fault. I'm taking the blame, but I'm also taking the accountability and responsibility. And not that I wasn't before. Again, you all know I to my bet between the pandemic and getting gypped and jived by past trainers. It wasn't my fault, but legitimately wasn't. That being, I legitimately made efforts. But that being said, I still hold myself accountable. And regardless if we can find Brownie a fostered home or not, because she is great and fantastic with people, the best cuddler in the world. Great, not great on walks because right now she's we're changing up her leash situation because speaking of cruelty, I'm using one of those easy walk harness, and I realize that they're bad for dog shoulders, and I'm actually doing damage to them. So adjusting, we got to do a slip lead for training for right now for her, and until we find a better suitable collar. Anybody has any recommendations for big dog collars for walking that don't hurt their shoulders, or any of those cool harnesses, those camo ones, like I'm going to go raid something, but it doesn't hurt their, it makes it easier for the walk. They're practical. Y'all hit me up at DanTom MMA. Feel free to follow the podcast where we don't talk about dog issues. At the PYN podcast won't flood your feed. Appreciate that. But yeah, this is the dog situation. So it breaks my heart right now because, I don't want to think about her having another home, but I just got to take the steps to make sure she gets her proper training. And if it involves fostering, and we've already taken steps toward that, putting her name, putting it out there, we may have to do that. So, it's a different kind of heartbreak, parting with a dog on these terms as opposed to, which I've had to deal with too, which is not fun, Shouts to my honey girl, my retriever, having to put down a dog, and I know those of you who've had to deal with that, not fun. And but that is my dog situation. Man, speaking of that, I'd be ignorant or remiss to not shout out, of course, Max, the Jack Russell Terrier of 17, almost made it to 18, and my co-host George and Goes, MMA Junkie Radio, who I shouted earlier. That dog, anybody knows, was a mascot, not just from the billboard. It was a real dog, folks, and a really sweet one. It was Don't Tell George and Goes was my favorite part about going over to their house for fight nights. And I was there back when Jackie was around too. I can't remember. Jackie might have won me over then, although Max seemed pretty alpha. I feel like he demands the belly rubs, and he spotted me because he's smart for a sucker. And I would always give him belly rubs. So I know this is a very dog-heavy podcast, but as you've seen, whether it's people I know really well and friends with have met these dogs like Max, or other people online, Dan Tom will be up in the mentions randomly if somebody, or in the DMs if somebody loses an animal. That stuff's a very soft spot for me. So as someone who's met Max, as someone who's been lucky enough to meet Max, lucky enough to receive some of the king treatment that and see some of that king treatment that Max and the Garcias give to everybody as hospital hosts and homeowners and friends and humble human beings they are. Man, that one hit home, and my hearts go out to George and Goes, MMA Junkie Radio. May Max live on as the mascot and the memories, the many he touched. So, those of you dog people, hopefully you can forgive me for that. But yeah, a lot of dog emotions going on, a lot of movement in the dog world, which personally I care more about than the MMA call out world, much less the crossover call out world, which that is as much as I will talk about that. So, talking about the real. So I just wanted to shout out those, the good peeps. Hey, shout out to Billy Welks. I think he tagged me on something, MMA journalist. I'm not a journalist, nor do I consider myself one, but I appreciate the love from other podcasters like Billy Welks. Shout out to MMA on the Rocks. And last shout out to the, last two shout outs, MMA Analysis Podcast going to be on there. I think I'm going to be on there tomorrow. We're adults with lives, man. I'm not the only podcast that has trouble sitting down, getting together, right? I'm acting like it's like drama Dan Tom. It's not the case. Everybody's got stuff going on. And I know I tried to bail out the MMA Analysis Podcast, not bail them out, but help them out when they asked, I should say. They don't name my ass, but for hosts before. So, hey man, I ain't got anything going on. I'd be lying at that part of the night, and it's a party over there. So they do it live and on YouTube, so give them some love. Come see me over there and go check them out. Also, shout out to the YouTube commenters, not just for the positive, but even for the critical and the criticism. I don't even know if it's critical or criticism. It's fair what it is. It's right. About audio. I'm trying to work on that, folks. Mainly for guest shows. I get the comment on the top 5 shows what this person gave, so more than happy to accept just criticism. So more, and I wrote it down twice, almost going to be thrice here as I jolted up the queue of my many to-dos like the Stitchers and SoundClouds of the world. But no, even before those, I do got to figure out these audios. I'm going to be hitting you guys up with some top 5 shows coming up real soon on the off week, so don't worry. Whether it's my off week, as I use that in air quotes, because as you all know, we don't get those, but or the very UFC off week. I try to be here for you here, so. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, sorry if I ran long or repeated, because I did a 2 record because I was afraid to run long with the dog stuff, but I just can't avoid it, man. It's important to me, it's important to people I know, because they got their own stuff, and it's important to all the crossover of people listening, man. It's it's good stuff. It's an important thing. It's an important thing, I should say. Phrasing. But yeah, shout outs to all you guys. I'm going to work on the audio and things, and I'm happy to be here despite all the problems, real and not real, important to non important, small to big. Amazon reads, we'll skip those. We'll let those build up. But again, mixedmartialanalyst.com if you want to click through or support the show. PayPal links on it. Amazon. Bellator 261 is going down as I'm going to, all right. We're going to recap. Sorry, UFC and ESPN 25 recap 15 minutes in, roughly. But yeah, we're going to do that. We went 7-5 overall in picks, which sadly seem to be about the average these days. 1-2 in straight plays, 0-1 in props. So yeah, not good, I would say. Biased off the top, which is, and I'm really bad. Again, you can see why I got to stop doing unders, because as much as I make fun of the unders, or not make fun, but like steer away from the unders. And, I know it's a betting trend, of many, but like, man, I'm gonna be jinxing it for my people out there in betting MMA world, because I cannot hit any of these unders to save my life. I'm like, okay, I just justify why I don't play these things. I'm an over guy. We've learned this. So yeah, the under in the Jung Ige did not hit. Jung beat Ige unanimous decision. Again, even though I was biased, I did say in my video breakdown on here, etc., written that Jung would be don't be surprised that Jung to play out as the better wrestler and transitional and submission grappler, which was the truth. But it was also one of those things where Ige quietly really did well. I don't think his stock went down too hard. I liked his attitude in between rounds toward the end with help from Eric Nixick. Like, I like that Eric didn't wait till like the I know I'm biased toward Eric, but like regardless, how many times do we see corners wait till the third round or the fifth round if it's a 5-round fight? Okay, where they're clearly losing. Like, he got ahead of it and was like, yo, 10 minutes, we gotta, and kind of gave that last round speech in the second to last round in a 5-round fight, which I thought was really just on point, and for whatever reason not done enough. Simple it sounds, I know, but that was really awesome from Eric. Ige responded in kind, did much better in those rounds once he got loose. I don't know if it was just he needed to get loose and almost fights better tired now at this point of his career, where that strength and conditioning really came in, or and justly so, he counters god dang hard. The Korean zombie got scared off from some counters, in that sense. And I don't mean scared as in a, derogative term. You guys, know what I mean? With all respect. But like, if certain things, he really didn't like the way it feels, only Ige knows he is the guy that's in there, right? So, but still played out closer than expected. Sorry if my scorecard live is all over the place. I'm so used to not watching these live anymore that like, even when I am, because I'm prior to this stretch, like I was already just so like institutionalized. I want to pause it like when I go to the bathroom when I'm watching fights, because I'm so used to watching fight. And by the way, a lot of people, fractionally depending on your beat, you probably watch a lot more old footage than live footage, depending on what your beat or what your goals are, right? If you're a gambler, so on and so forth, how serious you take it, etc. So I'm not the only one here, but I'm just saying the point is I get institutionalized from that. And I forget that I'm watching things live. And then when you get distracted when you're doing your, research, it's fine because you can rewind, right? And you almost get used to being pulled away from distractions. And with everything I got going on, I'm getting distracted a lot. And yet I'm still also on live watch mode. So I'm submitting scores and I'm like, Dan, you missed like almost 2 minutes of that round. And then you see people that I respect with clearly different takes. You're like, I wonder who missed something here, dummy. So that's why I had to renege some of my scorecards there, and I've just been giving them a lot less, if you notice, despite the broadcast. I get many point out, the broadcast give you like that's great. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm not sure why, but because of that, I feel a responsibility. Even if that wasn't the case, I would still feel a responsibility, I should say, to try to tweet out somewhat coherent shit. So I definitely don't need to add to the misinformation that's already strong with the narrative out there. So yeah. So good on Jung. Ige, I don't think his stock bounces down. Sergey Spivak fighting tooth and nail for that ice fishing hole, but if you want to apply the Diaz brother logic, Alexei Olnik would have won this fight. Pride rules or Pride first round, he would have sealed it because he gets to the finishing position and the first 2 rounds, but not enough to win the rounds. Though, again, if you wanted to overvalue that, you could do it. But even me, somebody who could be accused of overvaluing that, although I'm just trying to correct the steering wheel toward the middle of the overcorrection away from grappling, even I and as well as the bias of betting and picking Olenek still. Was not surprised, nor did I have issue with the 29-28 Spivak scorecard. So yeah, that one was dead in the water. Marlon Vera defeated Davey Grant there. God took a lot of bounds in there. You see my stitches in my face. Davey, why'd you do that to your poor fucking kids and you post that picture? Oh my God, I hope you heal up, sir. Bravo to you. I'm glad you got a bonus. I hope you got even more money than that bonus, Davey. You deserve that and more. Fun fighter to root for. I'm glad you guys have loved my Davey Grant impressions, even though, I don't sound like that. I come here to fight. But I gotta make him sound like this, don't I? Yeah. All right, but yeah, it was Marlon Vera that gave him the Skin and Bones Jones treatment with those freaking elbows, man. Yeah, I'm glad to see some 10-8s in there as well, because I believe I mixed them in. Sung Woo Choi defeated, Ferris Bueller's Day Off best friend Cameron there, Julian Erosa via TKO round 1. That was the thing that could happen, and I still picked and played Erosa anyways, though part of me, I tweeted out before, it's just, feels like a guy that could really come out is coming into his own here, and sure enough, he did. He came, don't say that, Dan. He got him in the face. Hope Erosa is okay. But Sung Woo Choi, man, good on him. Was favored for a reason. Bruno Silva defeated Wellington Turman. Yeah, that grounded pound. Oof, Turman. Young guy getting KO'd like that, despite looking like a unit. Always scary. But yeah, Bruno takes it. Hey, this went out even though I was seeing elbow against the fence, still by KO, second round, I believe I called Matt Brown. Matt Brown go defeat Dave Lima. That's the game we play, man. King of Ohio, baby. Matt Brown. How did it feel good? Not bad, fucking 40. Doing it for the old guys, man, which I appreciate. Matt Brown with that fucking tribal sun tattoo, which is like, every bit of the 90s, right? Like he needs a chick with like some really bad fake boobs and a barbed wire tattoo. Dan, why you gotta come at Pam Anderson like that? I'm just saying, I mean, like that is just Matt Brown just not letting it die, baby. Cash and plus money tickets on the way. Hope Diego Lima is okay, but yeah, again, if you can't finish, like I was saying, at a certain point, you get in trouble if you're against a finisher, especially in that small cage. You really got to walk a fine line. You want to fight technical or rely on some attritional stuff. So yeah, happy with that call, as it is probably the only call I got right on paper. At least on my bets on paper that I can take credit for the podcast. Nikolai Negumarianu defeated Alexa Kamer. Jeez. All right. Yeah, no problem with that. Not sure why it was a split. I thought it was Yunnan. Again, I picked Kamer, but no, that line was stupid. That was Dogger Pass all over it. Verna Janji Jiroba defeated Kanako Murata. Defeated Doctor Stoppage. Yeah, don't disagree. The fact that I even had to do a tweet explaining whether that was even a question, it was pretty clear. Thankfully, Janji Jiroba didn't just slam kicks because, no one was rushing to stop that thing, apparently. But hindsight, anyone that played Verna, cash them tickets. Chaos Williams defeated Semmelsberger, Fantasy Fight League. Yeah, stuck with my Chaos Williams pick reluctantly, but he showed some. I really like the volume, the gas tank, and even though he was swinging wild, which at certain points, really swinging from the hips, at certain points, you can get him countered. You can pay for it. Per tweet, I was interacting with Paul there. I'm going to pronounce his last name and slaughter it. I got too much respect for the guy. But Paul and CJ over there, they got a good podcast, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. But, so I agreed with his tweet. But I did like what his corner was saying, though. The reason why I bring that up, because his corner was, wanting him to, he was giving him some nice direction in the corner as far as tightening up, letting him know when the counter, when he was leaning off the feints, when to lean heavier into the feints. So there's some underrated smartness both in Williams and his corner, and I think they're products of each other. So, definitely a guy that's going to be hard to, even if you pick against him, it's going to be hard to write off. Still some improvements coming, I think, Williams' way. So we'll see, but we'll see. Nothing to not be too confident on. Chaos, or Josh Parisian, or shots to my man Brad, one of my favorite nicknames, Carbo Parisian, the Parisian brother, misplaced in the Midwest there. Defeated Rocky Martinez, even though it seemed like Rocky Martinez did the more harder, damaging shots. I understand that most of that came in round one, but, split decision. Parisian gets it. I picked him, so I'll take it. Joaquim Silva. Oh boy. I didn't see this coming. Wow. I mean, Ricky Glenn. These aren't kids. These are drug peddling midgets. What's your name? Ricky. Every time I hear the name Ricky, I think of that. And Ricky sounds like the guy that does some like shit. Oh, Ricky Glenn going to do some shit, like in some like Midwest town and does some crazy shit. Ricky Glenn from the Midwest did some crazy shit, all right. So, fucking hats off to Ricky Glenn. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in the breakdown when we get to Tim Means as well. But it's like, Matt Brown, Ricky Glenn. It's like I don't know what it is. It's I don't know if it's mask anger, but the skinny white. It is the era of the skinny white dudes, scrappy skinny white dudes. They are killing it right now, folks, and I'm all about it. Good on you guys. Just kidding. By the way, I'm not coming out or making us. I'm just having fun here, folks. Relax. I'm supporting white guys. Come on. I'm just saying, man. It's like the Brad Pitt and Fight Club, Skinny guys will fight to their burger, and I feel like they're coming out post-pandemic, and it's gonna be their day, baby. All right, so good on Ricky Glenn. Good on anybody who cashed that, and we'll get to more of that talk later because I'm on that train, baby. Casey O'Neill defeated Lara Procopio, submitted the BJJ black belt. She was talking about stomach issues, and I'm like, oh, please don't shit. Please don't shit. Please don't shit. Please. That's my thought. I don't know if it's like still that, Felice Herrig, Justine Quiche fight still burnt in my head. Merrick, but like when fighters say that, Chiesa was worried about shitting his pants, and luckily he was the one that got the RNC and got out of there early because he was like, Chiesa was like, if it was the other way around, he was like, not only would I probably would have tapped and lost the fight, but I probably would have shit my pants if I went out. And you hear about people involuntarily relieving themselves in one way or the other when they go out. So part of me is like, oh, dude, is this girl going to shit her pants? Even before she even gets her back taken. So she gets her back taken. And I'm like, oh, no. Casey O'Neill looks under there. Oh, no. She doesn't look like she's going to tap. Oh, no. I felt weird and creepy and as well as just sick to my stomach. So I had to avert my eyes because I was like, please, just don't. Just let her get out of there safely. And I think she did, but... yeah, of course, of course that's where my head goes, like, don't poop. But yeah, Gretz, if you catch that case, you'll take it. All right, so we're going to go 28-45. All right, Jesus Christ, Dan, on that note, we're going to segue over to, PFL and Bellator talk, I guess. Not really much to say there. I think I took Movlin. The line movement flipped. He was initially the dog, as Palmer was a slight fave. Now it's flipped around. I believe with the point setup, though, doesn't Palmer have to fight really aggressive to make it? So how does that work? And I don't know, man. I know Movlin's training with some guys that we'll talk about here in the UFC breakdown. He looks in shape. So I took him. Took Pettis, Goatsov, Harrison, Capaloza, Pacheco. Hey there, Elijah. I was going to go with Jurassic Pajic, but took Fabian. Atreyu. Yeah, Gardado. Yeah. You know me. You know me, bro. Yeah, okay. Then Bellator. Fury. No, I took Sydney Outlaw. Not because he's favored, but also, I don't know why. I just have a thing to fade something about jury. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Fury. Jury Jiu-Jitsu. I think I ended up picking Moldavsky, but man, my heart is with Timmy Johnson. Timmy Big Dick there. Shout out to the analysis. That's one of their nicknames as well. But yeah, I think I might have submitted that for staff picks, which, yeah, no wonder why I would think something weird. It was late when I do these things, which is the problem half the time. Picked Carmouche, but wouldn't mind Watanabe getting that upset. Weichel at dog money is really tempting, especially that he opened as the favorite and that one did a flipperoo, but it's tough. Like, Diggs isn't young either, and it's hard. Weichel hasn't faced a lot of southpaws, at least off the top of my head. And Diggs looks like he really has those level changes, those knees, good takedown defense, weird balance, strong body kick, strong kicking game to help deter as well. And picked up a lot of that stymieing stuff, but more offensively potent than his southpaw longtime stablemate there in Benson Henderson. I think he's back in Hawaii for this camp, like his last one, because of the Z pandemic. So I don't know if he was training out there with Medeiros. Sorry about that. He's training out there with Medeiros or not, but yeah, I don't know. I like what I saw. It's a big step up. It's definitely dog or pass at this point for sure, but I did submit the Diggs pick. I'm going to stick to it. Weichel is getting up there as well. He's going to be 37 this year, got a ton of miles. However, up at 155, and looking to his IG, and the man looks like he is he's changed up his doctors. He's looking good. So we'll see. He lost to Goiti Yamauchi. Emmanuel Sanchez can't switch to southpaw sometimes, so he finds for his orthodox. I see any other southpaws? I'm scrolling down. Des Green, he actually RNC. There's a southpaw, so 1-1, I suppose. But now we're getting into a decade at this point. I don't know if Musa Kumanaev was a southpaw, but he hooked him, so it really doesn't matter. And yeah, just going back down. Dan Hardy was not. Paul Daly was not. Thiago Tavares was not. Those are the notable guys, and those were, of course, losses, and we're going way back. Back in the time. Da, baby, da, baby, da, baby. Sorry, yeah. 90s flashback there. So I took Diggs, not super confident, especially with Weichel's dog money now and looking like he changed up his schnitzel. He switched up his schnitzel regiment going into this one. Don't make fun of the schnitzel, Dan. Please don't. It is not funny. Okay, but yeah, and then that's really about it. Not much. Bobby Lee, Sorenbach. I took Sorenbach. Yeah, not much to say there. Let's kick it over to UFC at 33, shall we? Yeah, all right. UFC Fight Night 190, UFC Vegas 30, UFC Fight Night. Is it Volkov versus? It's Gane versus Volkov. Gane where? Cyril Gane minus 155 and Alexander Volkov plus 130. I'm essentially taking, as my Goodwill Hunting quote and tweet may have pretended, I'm taking Volkov here. Even though Gane in the clinch and being the better grappler and well-rounded fighter was enough for me to pick him over Rosenstruck, and is why that played out as the way it did not. It did. He still had difficulty taking Rosenstruck down. I didn't like a lot of his entries and the reliance on the things he was trying to do. And maybe it would stand a chance against an older version of Volkov, but even the last time he was wrestled against Curtis Blades, he actually quietly really did well and had a lot of answers that if he was able to do that with Blades, he should be fine against Gane. And Volkov, although he's been hurt in the clinch, like that massive uppercut he got on Tim Johnson, which Tim Johnson won that fight. Not just betting buys, but Ed Gallo said so, folks. So, no, I'm just kidding. I haven't listened to that podcast yet, but shout out to Ed and that podcast that he does where he reviews like robbery stuff and whatnot. But Fight Site podcast feed before I slaughter the title. It's good. It's a good show. It's a good show. It's a good show. It's fun. No, it's great. But yeah, I believe he thinks so too. But yeah, no, Volkov's gotten better in the clinch, and he's also bulked up. Speaking of switching up the, he's been pouring in. He's been pouring into the pierogies more. Dan, why do you have to be racial with food? Come on, we're supposed to be being sensitive here. Oh, sorry, but he switched up his doctors too. Apparently, no, he's looking great. He's looking thick. You know, he beefed up the stingray and the tattoo. He beefed up the canvas for said tattoo. He still has a love for the ocean, as I see that walking I go to his Instagram where he's walking down a point. Yes, that is me, to walk down a point. How many accents are you going to do in this podcast? I don't know, folks. I walk with slippers. Who's going to question with me with slippers? Yes, I wouldn't know, Volkov, who would question you wearing slippers, big giant Russian man. In Soviet Russia, road forks, yo. But I think that he's going to be able to compete in the clinch there. Gane will go a lot from southpaw at distance. I'm going to be curious how he does with size parity because he doesn't really have to face that despite being a big heavyweight. And as the commentary is poking fun of Gane for, is that he doesn't see himself as a big heavyweight. Now, a lot of that could be taken out of context, second language translation, of course. However, if any of that is kind of true, and no matter how serious or overblown it could be, part of that, you do gotta wonder if if there's any truth to that or any size insecurity for being such a big man. Not that it's worrisome, which on principle it could be, but again, I'm not going to overblow it to that extent. But size parity is a real thing, and it's a real question mark that many fighters have to, even the good ones, have to answer, and somewhat even the good ones provide somewhat surprising answers for. And if you look how massive Volkov looked against like a 6'5" heavyweight. Or 6'4", 6'5" heavyweight in Alistair Overeem. It was insane, right? So it could really bring that about. Again, add in the improved wrestling. Southpaw looks. He likes to fight at distance with southpaw, like I was saying. And Alexander Volkov's had done really well and had a lot of recent looks against southpaws. So the size parity, the southpaw looks, none of these things should really throw off Volkov. And he has fast enough hand speed and good enough retreating footwork to hit counters and not get overly Dutch hand trapped and hand parried and allow Gane to play sticky hands with him, and I don't think he's going to, Gane is fast, but I don't think he's going to blow him out of the water with speed. So I was a bit surprised to see not Gane favored, maybe not because he's hype and undefeated, but for it to be move toward him being more favored. Not that he's drastically favored at -155, but to see that line move from the way of Volkov. And now it's coming back down to earth, it looks like. I grabbed it at +140, which seemed to be a real nice peak there. But I think that he opened at +115 for a reason, and even that would have been worth a squeeze. But I know it's heavyweight MMA, but again, like the better fighter in all phases, who's very used to that small cage now. I think it's going to suit Volkov better, for sure. So I went ahead and laid down a unit on Volkov at +140. Next fight, Tanner Bowser. I'm going to add that to the Davy Grant list for many of you. This is Tennessee, OSP. Oh yeah, OSPP time. Jesus, Dan, come on. I'm just saying, the man looks like he packs some power, but is that power going to translate at heavyweight, folks? That's the question. We know OSP packs, but is it translated heavyweight? His gas tank was able to, despite carrying the extra weight. He was meaning for a light heavyweight fight, so he doesn't exactly have to cut, so I imagine it's going to be an in-shape OSP. He's not facing the biggest heavyweight. However, it's an active heavyweight who's got active footwork, a really tough chin, I know he got taken down by Latifi, but Latifi, that's his thing. But can OSP get the takedowns here? He's got to be wrestler OSP. He's in the small cage. If he takes Bowser down, maybe he can make something happen. I think this is kind of dog or pass, or like OSP by sub. However, again, I think the dynamic here, generally, no matter what side you're on, is OSP has to finish. And he's up at heavyweight, and it's a durable heavyweight. And OSP is just one of the more inconsistent fighters. You never know where he's at. He's still down at Knoxville. The posts are few and far between. It says he's, in the lab, but and he's a big boy. He's only getting bigger and older and thicker, so I don't know how, I don't know how in shape he's going to be, especially now that he doesn't have to cut. I took Boser here. Tanner Boser. I feel like if you wanted to play OSP, again, like OSP either straight up at dog money or just kick for coverage there, or specifically, I think the sub could have some value. What is he? Is it at least a juicy number for OSP plus 290 inside the distance? Okay, that's double almost for his money line. That's almost worth it just alone right there. And OSP plus 450. Okay. But a way to hedge however angle you take on OSP perhaps is maybe the over. I know over 2.5, it's got to go 2.5, but again, durable heavyweight, that's Boser minus 140. Still technically, a cheaper price than a Boser minus 150 I was seeing earlier in the week to the Boser minus 185 now. So again, instead of playing Boser, play the over if you want to play Boser, or hedge your OSP play, or OSP by sub, or OSP inside the distance play with Boser OSP over. That's for minus 140 at 2.5. That's my recommendation. I played neither. I may actually sprinkle on that OSP by sub and that over hedge as well. So we'll see. All right. Next fight. Andre Fili minus 225. Daniel Pineda plus 190. I like Fili here. Pineda can do or die fighter. He can gas. Down at 145, I don't know if that's better or worse. It's like better because he's got to do running, but Pineda's quietly older and's got a lot of miles too, so that's a harder thing to fix. That being said, I do feel like the line says dog or pass, but the matchup really calls for Fili. Not just that dynamic, but Fili does have an underrated double leg that shouldn't be underrated at this point. Daniel Pineda does have a really good guillotine. I think that's the one thing to watch for. Pineda, pressures him and forces a bad shot. That's his path to victory, to get it done early, under 1.5 for Pineda by sub. I don't know if he knocks him out clean, that one, like a one shot, like if he throws anything as dynamic as what do you call it, Yair Rodriguez. I think he can rack him and make him shoot. So Pineda sub, Pineda early. But I don't think Pineda is going to be able to do the leg kicks that he likes to pressure guys, because Fili can fight from both stance really well. He jabs really well from both stance, counters with twos, counters with double legs, movement, move lateral. So again, a lot of things that may make a hard target for the leg kicks for as long as Pineda's gas tank will tend to last. So I'll take Fili here, but I don't know if I'm as confident. I think you're going to be sweating and clenching some butthole if you parlay him. Next fight, Kennedy and Nzechukwu minus 125, Danilo Marquez plus 105. I came into this one leaning Kennedy, but then ended up taking Marquez because I'd made the mistake before where I didn't bother to look up Marquez, and I missed a really easy win, dog money, sub prop, etc. Right? And you forget because he went to a decision against Kadis Ibragimov, who's terrible, even though he beat him, I believe. But you got to remember that was like his debut. I don't know, short notice, the travel. And that was that weird card where it was like 3 a.m. and everybody was fighting like shit. So, and there was a bunch of cage grabs too that prevented the finishing positions, that reversed his finishing positions early. So then he runs out of gas, and they just end up having like a staring contest, right? And he still wins, I believe. I'm going to double check to make sure I'm not thinking out of my ass here. But the guy, he is a Damian black belt under either Damian Maia or Damian Maia's trainer. Trains with a lot of good people in Brazil, and looks like he's been spending the last, not just this training camp, but even beyond, at King's MMA. Rafael Cordeiro, which is good, his stand-up. He actually can wrestle. He can hit singles and, turn the pipe. It's a bit mechanical, or, a bit disjointed at parts and not the smoothest, but for that weight class, it's very good for light heavyweight. So the striking would be something that he needs to work on. And he's going against a southpaw, and he's training in a very southpaw-friendly camp. Guys like Vettori, he was one of Vittori's guys for his last camp just recently. So not just a southpaw-friendly camp, but actual notable southpaws, actual coaches who know how to coach and train southpaws, train against them. So yeah, he's doing that between that and Brazil, stateside and Brazil. Give me Danilo Marquez. I don't care that he's 35. He won't be 36 till the end of the year. Kennedy's green, and he had that fight with fellow Fantasy Jewish Fight League, Ober, and he just like the amount of the IQ there. I think my man Saif Saeed is going to be losing a I don't even want to say burst in an anger. Now I'm like super sensitive to when people use that example. I'm not gonna be the police and be like, you can't use that, it offends me. But fuck man, I was shit that happened to my mom, and now that I gotta watch out for that stuff, I'm like, ugh. I'm weird about using that example, but yeah, I think my man Saif Saeed is going to be losing it, and I love Saif, Coach Saif. He's awesome, by the way, and I hate picking against this guy, so don't hate me, Coach Saif, if you're listening. But I actually took a shot at Marquez. I'm going to wait for the Marquez by sub. One of my houses doesn't have him by dog money, and the props aren't dropped yet, so hopefully I can snatch him for dog money in the other house that I play at, and if not, I'm going to be looking to hit that sub. But I got Marquez at plus 100. 1 unit. All right. Next fight is we got Tim Dirty Bird Means minus 140. Nicholas Dalby plus 115. Again, man. The second coming of Skinny Pete from Breaking Bad. If you plugged in Skinny Pete to the I know Kung Fu machine from the Matrix, like this is Tim Means, baby. I just posted I'm going back to some old fights, and I posted him versus freaking Spencer Fisher, and the commentary, they're like, Tim Means was recently hit in the face with a shovel, lost a lot of teeth. Tim Means was shot in the leg once, lost a lot of blood, almost died, but still managed to throw the assailant through the window. It's an embarrassment of riches over in MMA, and like I said, and I mean that endearingly, hopefully nobody got offended. But it is like the scrappy. It is the era of right now. It is the Machida era. It's time for like scrappy, skinny white dudes to just fucking rise up, get your shirt off, and fuck shit up. I think Tim Means, man. By the way, he looks like he's really in a good place, coaching kids wrestling. You go to his IG, I love it, man. Love it. You guys know me. I'm always a hardcore Tim Means fan. Been a fan of his striking and his underrated grappling. He was going for shots even back then, although it got him submitted against Spencer Fisher. You got to wonder the state of his ankle, but again, this guy's been shot, hit in the face with shovel. He takes a licking and keeps on ticking, to steal the big nog phrase, anointed on him by his manager at Suarez there. But I actually went Tim Means here, but I get the line movement. It wasn't a confident pick. Because Dalby looks like in the shape of his life, rejuvenated, even though Dalby himself is 36, going to be going on 37, which is Tim Means' age. Obviously, surprise to no one, Tim Means has more miles than his opponent, right? More miles than Dalby. So Dalby has less miles. However, Dalby, he is the southpaw fault line. It's going to be tested, I unloaded on D-Rod, and I got swayed by the commentary, and I thought that, it was a loss. You guys don't understand me, again, with another reason why my scorecards may have been off with Zombie to your guys' liking, because when I like a guy and or play, I'm the opposite, where I'm instead of bias, and I'm like, my guy won every round. I'll be like, I don't know, I think he really has to, slice his jugular and hold his kids up for ransom, and then maybe I'll give him the 10-9. Like, I almost overdo it the other way. As an instructor and a teacher, I was the same way. I was harder on the kids I liked. I don't know if that's good, but it's just if I'm being honest, right? So I think I did a lot of that, because when you rewatch, especially with the actual scoring criteria in mind, you could argue a 30-27. If not, it should have been 29-28 Rodriguez. And many people in the night, as you guys do, when I get gypped by these bad scorecards, as I tend to do, I tend to be on these fights, unfortunately. I'm stupid, and you guys like, dude, you were. If it makes you feel any better, any consolation, which I do appreciate, folks. But yeah, I do see your point more now. I was probably just trying to like not make any excuses and just move on the night of. But as I rewatched it, I'm like, no, there was a point. Yeah, there was a lot of. I don't think anyone was trying to make me feel better on that. Like, no, that should have been D-Rod. So it's weird. The southpaw fault line. Like, I think Alex Oliveira like wipes out every southpaw he faces up until like very recently. Whereas Dalby, he is like technically he is 1, 3, and 2, and the 1 and the 2 have asterisks. He's 1, 3, and 2 against southpaws, but the 2 one's a draw to Darren Till, where Darren, the only way Dalby gets back into that fight because Darren dislocates an arm for the last half of the fight to get that draw, right? The other is a no contest against Jesse Ronson, who pieced him up. Pieced him up hard, and then the one win was again Daniel Rodriguez, which he probably lost. So he's 1, 3, and 2 officially against UFC level southpaws, but Dalby probably should be 0, 5, and 1. Again, the 1 being a draw to a one-arm man who was a one-arm man before he was literally a one-arm man. Darren Till. So you know what? I'm back on the southpaw fault line, baby, which is why I'm picking Tim Means, and I wasn't going to play him, but so listen, if I'm being honest, I was going to wait till he got to even money, and that's what I'm telling you here. And in one house, I am waiting, but in the other, I wasn't thinking, and I played him at minus 130. I laid the chalk, which I shouldn't have. I was going to wait till even or plus money to see if the line flipped because he did open as a 2-1 favorite, but I don't think we're going to get to plus money. I was maybe thinking optimistically even, but I don't think we're going to get much lower than minus 130. So if you can get minus 130 or lower, I say pull the trigger because now I feel less bad about pulling the trigger in one house at minus 130 because now I'm seeing he's moving trending back up to minus 140. So do not follow me off this cliff, folks. But I will say I think Tim Means was favored fairly for a reason. And you get anywhere near even money for a guy that opens 2-1 with actual statistical backing. And I went back and I also watched the Perry fight. He still has his eyes are still working, even when he does take a hard shot. Which you got to be one of these hitters, which Dalby is not. He's still on point. Again, I know Rogan was overcorrecting because everybody was blown away from Mike Perry's grappling, which I was telling you guys was good. Or, much better than you realize from clench to takedowns to top position pre-Mickey Gall. Again, everyone overcorrects the steering wheel, judges as well as sometimes commentators, and Rogan was doing a lot of that with the Mike Perry thing, making things out to be worse than they were. And again, underrating kind of Tim Means grappling. Not that he meant to, but again, Tim Means is a bit sensitive to that. Has a chip on his shoulder, and for good reason. He's better there than given credit for. Tim Means was able to work out of that and then even defend a lot of shots. And even when he got hit hard, kind of woozy, still had a really good turns his hips, widens his base, hits the overhook, looks to break a grip. Like he does all those things in unison amidst the flurry after getting hit by a guy like Perry. So I think he's going to be okay for Dalby's point scoring takedowns, which he had a hard time doing even against Daniel Rodriguez. Not that Rodriguez is terrible, but it's not like the strongest point of his game. Underrated there, sure, but not notable. So yeah, I think it's Tim Means here. So I did lay it at minus 130. I'm gonna hopefully wait for it to go back down to the minus 130 range or lower before I pull the trigger. If not, I won't be upset about not pulling the trigger because it feels like an avoid, and I don't blame people who played that initial dog line on Dalby. But not talking about BS, UFC.com stats. I'm actually talking about thoughtful, meaningful stats that I give out on this here podcast or scrounge up myself for y'all. According to those ones, yeah, Tim Means should win this fight. And he goes to the body a lot consistently. Knees, front kicks, even post his ankle injury as well, of course, with his punches. And against a guy who is kind of the more karate stance and will be a little more in and out, the body and legs are going to be there. Tim Means doesn't exactly go for legs a lot, but he is a consistent body attacker. So I like that a lot. So I'm on Tim there. Next fight, Hanato Moicano minus 250, Jai Herbert plus 200. Tough run of matchmaking for Herbert, man. I think I was listening to a Severe MMA podcast or something. Shout out to Sean Sheehan, regardless. But he was saying something about, like, who the hell did Jai Herbert F to... What do you do to the matchmakers, right? I like Moicano here, but I think because of how both guys fought, I think they're going to be a bit safer, which means point fighting Moicano. I don't like better as stylistically appeasing to my eye, but as far as for him getting wins for who he is, I feel like that's the best thing, which is why I did not like him against a guy like Fiziev, and Fiziev was going to push his S in, and was on that, but again, I just haven't been on high as Moicano as others, and I'm not throwing shade at him or others. I'm just saying I haven't been as high on him, right, as a lot of people, whom I respect, by the way. But I believe doesn't Jai Herbert have a loss to the one guy that Khamzat Chimaev beat, which somehow demands him only top level bookings, which we need to get the hell over that. Who is that guy who jumps between lightweight and welterweight? Tall, skinny guy. So he's like a bigger version, a taller version of Moicano, right? Moicano's a 145, 155, but tall, skinny, with some muscle on that frame. I better look this up. People are going to be screaming at the podcast because I'm always that guy. But he lost to him. Yep, Reese McKee. And I remember actually going back to watch that fight. He got KO'd by him. But also, even I believe he didn't even do too well against the Cajun, the brief grappling instances. If memory serves, when I went back to watch that fight a while back. So that's not going to be good against a guy like Moicano, which means Moicano may be able to take him down and perhaps finish him. But I think he may just take him down in the point scoring effect. Again, both the guys got eaten up in their last fight. So I'll go Moicano here. I feel like it'll be a safer, less clinchy of a butthole type of fight if you wanted to put him in a parlay piece for that same exact price that he's listed as, almost same, I should say, as Andre Fili. So in that sense, it's safer, but in still no way am I going to tell you to put either of those minus two somethings in parlays. So be careful. As much as I want to say this next guy for that 225 plays you can throw in your parlay, only because I'm a big Barcelos mark. Valiev looks like he's in shape. He's been training with the Mulvid guy and whatnot down in that camp. Valiev's weird, man. It's like he doesn't no master of sports wrestling or this or that, or he actually went to college, like to be an accountant, but he just came up training in Dagestan. He was very well rounded. But for me, not so much to write home about, kind of well-rounded. And so I like the more aggressive, offensively potent, well-rounded Barcelos brings to the table with his wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and striking. So Barcelos all day for me. I would forgive you probably the most for using him as a parlay piece. But again, these don't feel like parlay piece material because it still feels disrespectful to the opponents here. So, yeah, so... Jesus, you lost the odds, Dan. You lost the odds. We're back. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Shavkat, minus 300 versus Michel. Call him Michel. Pracheres. Mini Verdum. Bopa Verdum, plus 240. The 5'6" welterweight. I'm going with Shavkat here. He's going to have plenty of options to hit his guillotine, but I'll be curious if he can or if he tries to. On the accoladed Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that is Tractor Michel Pracheres. Michel. But I also like Shavkat's striking, although I don't know how much his left hook's going to have play against a guy who wants to take him down, much less a shorter guy. So let's see if he does more counter wrestling stuff like knees up the middle, front kicks. And he looks like he's training with some mean cats out in his country of is it Uzbek? He's Uzbek, right? He is strong Uzbek. This is country of origin Kazakhstan. He fights out of Kazakhstan, but he was born in Uzbek. He is strong Uzbek, yes. So I'm gonna go with Shavkat here. He's another guy who I wouldn't blame you for parlaying. Michel looks like he's in Michel shape, like normal, time off, but he's much older. I think he's like 40, or he's going to be 40 very soon. So, yeah, give me Shavkat. Give me Shavkat. He's probably a more suitable parlay piece. You know who else is a suitable parlay piece? I'm probably too stubborn to admit it because I was shit on this guy. Is Vorley Alves, minus 250. Come back on Jeremiah Wells, plus 198. Alves looks in good shape. He's been impressing me, I believe, as of late. He hasn't been a habitual clock checker as much, although I believe you can still get that out of him. I don't know if Jeremiah Wells is going to be the guy to do that. I'm going to pull up his profile right quick. Who did Worley Alves face last? Pulling him up here. Yeah, Munir Lazez. Yeah, obviously impressed me there. And was he originally supposed to face Jeremiah? As I'm not asking you folks, I'm just clearly prepared. Clearly, hey, I'm not even supposed to be here today. Give me a break. I think he was supposed to face. No, he was supposed to face Ramzan Ameev. So Jeremiah Wells coming in last minute. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. It doesn't have a profile, so I'm gonna skip it. But man, Worley Alves is parlay material. All right, cause they didn't rhyme, Dan. Okay, yeah, we'll go Worley Alves. Probably a parlay piece there too. No, I don't want to admit it. Marcin Prachniow minus 190. Not much has moved. Ike Villanueva plus 160. I took Ike here just because he's experienced enough. Most of his TKO losses came like a while ago in circumstances, up divisions, grappling-based TKOs, cuts, etc. They're very excusable, so the 5 does not look as bad. And even though Prachniow was able to win a decision against my guy Khalil, still not... I still can't trust him after just showing like orc-like behavior of running into walls. So I'm going to go Villanueva. So yeah, I did not play him even though it is dog money. Or did I? I'll sprinkle maybe a half unit in one house. But yeah, nothing crazy, nothing big. Just a sprinkle type thing. You don't have to follow me off that cliff, folks. Julia Avila, minus 375. Julija Storyalenko plus 280. This feels like it should be a parlay piece, but Avila, maybe because she's asked the bed before. And in these divisions, your luck can change just that fast. It's like Vegas / heavyweight MMA, folks. So I picked Avila, but I'm staying away, motherfucker. It's just one of those days. I feel like that's the parlay piece that could crash on you if you're not careful. I didn't research it, so I can't say, but I picked Avila. Charles, yo, this is Mental from Boston, Mass. Boston Strong, Charles Rosa, minus 175. Justin James, plus 145. Man, rooting for my guy Justin. I know I'm biased here. I know he didn't make the best account for himself. I know he's been real hard on himself, and people on the internet have been real hard on him, and he's had to experience that. I hope he didn't let that get the better of him. It seems like he's real focused this camp. God, please, Justin, please just throw your damn leg kicks that I still feel to this day. They're so good. They're so brutal. And against an in-and-out guy like Charles Rosa, who's going to be the orthodox stance, he's going to be asking for it. I'm biased here. I picked James, and I played James, and I tell you why, because he can win decisions, but it's got to be guys that bring out the dogfight, big hitters, big finishers. And Charles Rosa isn't, except for the submission department. And I feel like you're going to have to rock James to submit him. James, wrestler, BJJ black belt, long-time brown. He's like a brown belt for a decade kind of a guy. I believe he got his black belt too now, unofficial. But he's a real mean submission grappler. And, his gas tank can be questionable. But again, his motivation is at an all-time high. Is this fight at welterweight, or featherweight, where he should be? I know he hates cutting the weight, but it's where he should be. Again, he's young, so you're gonna get probably a much better. 145. He's gonna be in his best shape. And Charles Rosa, between not being a hitter, not being a dog fighter, and being that in and out kind of pointsy on the outside, which I believe. And I love Charles Rosa. I love karate. I'm not hating on that style, but I believe it's ingrained at this point in Charles Rosa's career, who's quietly older and has been fighting for a while. I feel like he's going to do that, and that's not going to tire out James. So unless James, unless he really just lands the perfect shot and gets a kind of lucky shot and can capitalize, I'm not sure James is going to fall asleep at the wheel enough, to give him a submission. So, So yeah, I think I think James gets, especially small cage. That benefits James, a power puncher, wrestler, top guy, uh, over over Rosa. And again, James only been submitted once, and I don't. He's only has like a few amateur fights listed. Um, and I think he was submitted like back in like '09. Oh, Matt Church, 2011. I was at that fight, but it was one of those things. It was like, what do you call, Josh Koscheck and who was that guy, the Master? Kenny Florian fought him back in the day. Where he throws the round kick and the knee hits. It's one of those brutal knockouts where the knee hits you, like Aljo and Marlon Moraes as well. I'm gonna look up that name now. And the knee hits you. And James was pretty much knocked out and then got submitted. So it was pretty much a knockout, but then the guy jumped on a sub. So it was one of those things. So I wouldn't hold it too. Or Drew Fickett, that's who it was. Drew the Master Fickett. And he lost by RNC on that one too. See, Josh Koscheck lost the same way, but it was actually I believe it was the kick to the head. So it was one of those. So yeah, Jane's a very tough guy to submit. In other words, sorry, long-winded there, and I know I'm biased, but yeah, that's I put a half unit on James. You have to follow me off that cliff, but I actually could back up the pick there. Next fight, Hadzovic, minus 150, plus 122. I believe I was talking about this fight with my man Gabe Killian out there. Shouts to Gabe. He was asking me what I thought of this fight when it first got booked before a line came out, and I said I would expect it to be pretty much even, and that's where your confidence level should be, regardless. But lines have to open, and I believe Medeiros probably would, or at least should be opened as a slight favorite, and it would probably go even, and the line would battle for people with opinions. And it still is a battling for an opinion fight, people on both sides. But I was right on the opening, but I was not wrong on the movement, which made me happy. So I played Medeiros, fight didn't happen. And then they saw that people were putting money on Hadzovic, opened him up slightly higher, as they tend to do, as these these bookmakers. You sure as shit they're taking their cues from the money in the market and where we're putting our money, folks. And they're gonna get out of jail free cards and take advantage of it every time they can. But we went in and obliged them, and y'all laid them down to now. Hadzovic is up to minus 150, and I don't think you should be there. And if anybody's been a defender of Hadzovic, it's been me since I've been, playing them, and since I've been fading before, fading Maribek Taisimov. Not every fight, but I was suspect of that guy, and I went for Hadzovic for a random upset. And of course, he ended up getting that kind of style upset against Marcin Held. But yeah, Hadzovic is definitely my guy. I like him, man. He trained at Rumble Sports. I think he changed up training for this one because he was down here, right, and he had to change things up. Whereas Medeiros, I think he went back to Hawaii, although Nate Diaz was up in his perfect segue, right? Nate Diaz was up in his comments on IG when the fight got canceled. Nate Diaz was the first comment. Yeah, come to NorCal. I think it's basically right next door. I'm sure that's exactly how he sounded, Dan. But so I don't know if Yancey obliged him. But I do like Medeiros here. The length parity, I like that Medeiros, again, he fights till he's burger. Skinny guys fight till they're burger, and Medeiros may not be the skinny way too, but he's a scrappy Hawaiian, and we can't question them either, right? And I do like that he's only fought once in the last 2 years. That's a lot of time to rest the chin. Medeiros has been out there for a minute. He came over from the Strikeforce days, folks. So I like him I like him down at 155 actually, because he's he's in great shape for those fights. And again, you see him, he looks big, but at the same time, you look at next to Nate Diaz, who's a giant. Nate Diaz actually looks much bigger than him. And Nate fought 55, and you could argue still has his best performances there. So, yeah, I don't have issue with Medeiros cutting down to 155. He does it much better, too, at this point of his career. So, yeah, I don't think Hadzovic will be able to take him down. Medeiros, really underrated wrestling. You have to be like Gregor Gillespie status. Even Gregor was giving him props that he was the hardest guy as far as counter wrestling get-ups. He gave Yancey a lot of credit. Gregor did. So he's not going to get out wrestled here. I don't think he's going to get out grappled. Despite Hadzovic having underrated grappling himself, but but that's only underrated as far as like Hadzovic started as in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and weightlifting, like before he even got into striking. So unless Hadzovic gets a knockout, I think Yancey Medeiros wins this fight on the ground, on the feet, on the scorecards. So you're gonna give me plus money, and y'all gonna double down on it. I took Medeiros at plus 120 for a unit. I don't think it's gonna get any better than that. Okay, so and then James Rosa, and you don't have to follow me on that one, by the way, but the over moved down from minus 115 to minus 105 to practically even money, over 2.5. And I think I'm going to play that. I'm going to lay that as a hedge. And that could just be a good angle if you're not confident on either guy. Or if you're following me off the cliff, a good way to hedge that, or hedge either way if you are semi-confident. Maybe if you're semi-confident, you shouldn't be, should be hedging. But anyways, over 2.5, because I think that I think James can win a decision too, but the over is definitely more of a hedge toward the Rosa side. Obviously, he's more probable to win the decision, obviously, but still, I still feel like James is capable of winning a decision here if judges are keeping that same energy of going with damage. So I did write that down. All right, so we're going to recap. How do we do on time? Not that I should worry. 111, not too bad. It's not like expediting. I'm early for you folks. All right. I'm not going to recap Bellator, PFL, nothing worth. I'm not playing anything there. So recapping UFC. Taking Volkov over Gone where? Taking Tanner Bowser over OFP Tennessee. Taking Andre Fili over Daniel Pineda. Taking Danilo Marquez over Kennedy Nzechukwu. Taking Tim, the Dirty Bird Mean, second coming of Skinny Pete over this Nicholas Dalby, taking Renato Moicano over Jai Herbert, taking Ioni Barcelos over Timur Valiev, taking Shavkat Rakhmonov over Michel Praceres, taking Warley Alves over Jeremiah Wells, taking Ike Villanueva over Marcin Prachniow, taking Julia Avila over Julija Storyalenko, taking Justin James over Charles Boston Strong. Rosa, sorry, taking Yancey Medeiros over Damir Hadzovic. I played Volkov at straight plus 140 at 1 unit. Played Medeiros straight plus 120 at 1 unit. Played Marquez straight plus 100 at 1 unit. Sprinkled a half unit on Villanueva plus 165. Sprinkled a half unit on my guy James at plus 150. Played Means at one house minus 130. Going to see if I can get better money close to even before I lay it on the other house. You can hedge my pick, your pick, or just take the angle of props, James Rosa, which I'm going to lay for minus 105 over 2.5. If you want to take OSP or OSP by sub and hedge, I think the OSP Bozer over 2.5 is worth laying. It's cheaper than Bozer, and it hedges your OSP or OSP angles play, such as submission. Submission. Sorry, a little Fiddler on the Roof shout there. And yeah, Marquez by sub. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for that. Avoid, question mark, none. If you see it, take the shot. Take the shot. Just take it. All right. All right, folks. Amazon again, iTunes, 5-star ratings and reviews helps. On Apple Podcasts, I should say. YouTube, like this video, subscribe below. Daniel Tom MMA for my channel. MixedMartialAnalyst.com for the PayPal to donate if you feel so kind, or to click through for your Amazon or on it purchases. I'll catch y'all next week with some top fives. Have a safe weekend. Good luck on your picks and plays, and always protect your neck.